This is my declaration to be fully alive, healing. This is my reclamation of my ancestral wisdom. The earth, it saved it for me, and I plant the seed.
It's supposed to be like a tree of life, and we have quotes on the bottom of the building that's supposed to be like the roots of like inspiration. So we use inspirational quotes that have like the roots in order to make the tree of life, and then it is beauty.
We like picked out quotes that inspired us from people, and then we're gonna all write them on here on our sanctuary. And I think it's pretty cool because when people walk by, they can see these quotes.
We have a lot of famous people in here. We have Marcus Garvey, Bob Marley, Amelia Earhart, like anybody you can think of that can inspire you and can inspire our neighborhood.
We picked out these quotes for people inspirational to us for the sanctuary. These people really promote a change and help people around the world. They really inspire us. One quote is, "We cannot succeed when half of us are held back." That's a really good quote that hits to everybody, including me.
We searched up lots of inspirational leaders and icons and pop stars and individuals that people look up to, that people actually want to hear speak. We were practicing with quotes and whatnot, picking which ones to be on there. Practice the painting, so when we finally like paint on a building, it won't look all messed up and it's sloppy. Like, have it look as neat and professional as possible.
One thing to love about Troy is how wonderful these projects are. Like, we're painting murals and community painting projects. Like, everybody can just come and contribute a little bit.
What is being done here is probably a little bit unusual because it is a complete timber construction. Many of the older churches in Troy are more of a masonry nature. But what they're basically going to do is lift up the end of the truss 1 inch or 2 inches, enough to try to put it back into its original position. And then once it's held at that position, they'll come in and put a permanent post behind it to hold it at that level.
Okay, we've been given the warning to stay away from that area there. Okay, here we go.
Make some noise. So it's great to be able to preserve some of that architecture, preserve that history, preserve, really when you think about it, the creative energy of so many of the people here in Troy who came before us. That's what these buildings represent.
There too, I have a reputation as a troublemaker. And even there, protest works. Finally, they said, all right, you can go. For an hour or so, you can speak your mind, but remember, no agitating. They do believe in freedom of speech, but within limits. They are liberals. You can spread the word. Marx is back for a short while. But understand one thing. I'm not a Marxist.
That's how we roll most every day. We're just finding our own way. Don't need no guidance from above. I just need your love.
Regarding 3361, we're not going to be able to assemble any. I was told to call you and speak to you about the front double doors that have not been replaced. And
Closed last week.
What is so dangerous about this art center in a little neighborhood in North Troy that deserves being crushed by the city?
nobody's going to be able to have any kind of assembly down there.
We have never disputed that a 108-year-old building in one of the most neglected neighborhoods in the capital region needs work. We're working on it.
Before I even opened my mouth to speak, they could somehow tell that I was someone else, different, other than. I couldn't hide it, even though I tried, and I almost lost myself.
We are women against war. We are Code Pink. We are exercising our rights. We are exercising our rights to demand an end to drone killings.
To vote. To protest endless war. To promote democracy. To ban nuclear weapons.
To boycott.
To protest. To end sexual assault.
To welcome refugees.
I really saw it as a kind of hub where all of these amazing energies in the community are constantly flowing through, of all these different people bringing their unique ideas and projects. And so for Nature Lab to have a physical space to capture and build on some of those energies would be a really amazing and vital opportunity. You know, thinking about where we are and, you know, the long extractive industrial history of Troy in general, and the stories of neglect and abandonment that are all too common to hear in North Troy, having a space that's focusing on the resilience of ecology and the possibilities for how things might be otherwise in this community, ecologically and then also socially, I think is really inspiring.
What you have, and just keeping an open mind and like staying humble. Gotten older, I've realized that because I was having to like navigate through this landscape, sort of just pay attention and learn like what was going on, learn that these things had a role in this like greater system, that it's really just kept my sense of wonder and like respect alive, which I observed is not like common anymore.
Somebody blew up America.
Thank you very much. Happy Shoe Year. In town. Something in the way of things, something that will quit and won't start. Something you know but can't stand, can't know, but get along with. Like death, riding on top of the car, peering through the windshield for his cue, something entirely fictitious and true that creeps across your path, hallowing your evil ways like they were yourself, passing yourself, not smiling. The dead guy you saw me talking to is your boss. I tried to put a spell on him, but his spirit is illiterate. I know things you know and nothing you don't know.
Look who's on paid leave and look who's serving time. What's considered a casualty was unforgivable crime. Blue acquitted for death, black sentenced to life. Who decides who's dangerous enough to die? Who decides who's dangerous enough to die? Who decides who's dangerous enough to die?
I think the sanctuary is a model for the kind of resistance that we have to build. It has to be rooted within the community because no successful movement is able to thrive unless it takes the pulse of and listens closely to those who are suffering. In order to build successful resistance movements within any community, we need a physical space. That's absolutely key. A space that isn't corporate controlled, that isn't privatized, and that is open to everyone, especially to those who have suffered abuse at the hands of the criminal justice system, of the police, of rapacious landlords and employers, and that the community gives people that space.
All right, we're walking to the river, boys. This is where we're going.
Most people here are black, and then there's some white people here, but then there are also white people that have lower income. We all know the pollution in Troy is bad. We all know the pollution in the Hudson is bad, but we don't know what to do because no one's working to help us. I feel like it just makes everyone feel like they're not cared about. Well, I knew the river was pretty close, but like, it's my first time really taking this route to see the river.
Do you think that a lot of the rest of the community here also haven't really experienced this?
To be honest, I don't even think many people know that the river is right here. The river still needs help, and we are the ones that can help it.
So when I say decolonization, what do I mean? So again, from Eve Tuck and Wayne Yang, they write, decolonization brings about the repatriation of indigenous land and life. So it's not just a call for social justice. Sometimes decolonization gets thrown around as a word to kind of indicate the ways in which we would like to have a more liberated consciousness, right? That's not what I mean. What I mean when I say decolonization is that we have to deal with the complex and violent ongoing project of settler colonialism that we all live under.
It's incredible. I think it's very inspirational to see local youth and the community coming together and promoting art and unity.
It's nice to see the transformation taking place, and being a part of it is even better.
The images look real. I can identify the people when I walk by, and I think that's good. I think these guys are doing a great job.
Can you find a place where there's peace and happiness?
fight for an independent media.
She is a journalist. She is the host of Democracy Now!
My name is Amy Goodman.
Who do you represent?
Democracy Now! What most media outlets did not report.
Civilian toll is an afterthought in all of this.
You can keep the Pentagon.
People with no voice.
Millions of people out in the streets. You can keep the propaganda.
And we say it is not in our name.
You can keep each and every TV that's been trying to convince me to participate in some prep school punk's plan to perpetuate retribution.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Don't believe the hype.
Stock, where peace sings loudly here at Freedom Square.
Stock, where peace sings loudly here at Freedom Square, Troy, New York.
Stock 2014, where peace sings loud from Freedom Square.
Peace, stock, peace.
Volunteer amateur producers who are making their own media, which means that it's the people who are able to decide what stories are important to share and decide what perspectives are important to share. So if you listen to the Hudson Mohawk magazine, you'll hear voices that you don't normally hear on legacy media.
I have a special segment called the Triple E's, Education, Empowerment, Entrepreneurship, which highlights different organizations, individuals, and people. And I try to bring awareness and exposure to what they're doing in the community and how they're making a difference.
We go out and find interesting stories about interesting people, and we have them on the show, or they call into the show, and they pretty much just tell us their story, whatever their story happens to be.
It is probably the only news of its type here in the Capital Region, or coverage of our community by our community.
It's brought in a lot more people because it takes a lot of people to run a volunteer news show on a daily basis.
Hudson Mohawk is an independent voice in a sea of talking heads.
I think what's really special about the Hudson Mohawk magazine is the diversity of people that are involved. On any given day, I'm working with people, all different kinds of people to produce that show.
This is a place where local community members are turning into reporters.
Because we're lucky enough to have some representation from the local chapter of the Satanic Temple, which is based in Albany. And I want to invite Dex, who's the co-chapter head, to come join me for the Q&A.
Right now, our biggest project that we're working on is a charity drive called Gifts from the Godless. Gifts from the Godless is similar to Toys for Tots.
I could give it up, but where's the fun in that? Gotta live it up or you will never laugh. Life's a box of chocolates with a lot of options. Gotta keep it rocking like a rumble pack. The first letter of your first name makes your navy bar hurts when I search things, and it hurts me. But I guarantee that without you, I'm a better me. And now I see the past with some clarity. Thank God I took my ass to some therapy.
Women of hope, women of change, women of war and pain. I can feel your power in these words she said. If you're feeling helpless, help someone. If you're feeling helpless, help someone.
We live along the shores of the Hudson River at the beginning of the Erie Canal. Lock 1.
The United States really gained a lot of wealth in the world by basically dumping their waste away. Well, now we are dealing with the waste.
Calling the Troy Lock, requesting passage north.
We've now spent the last 20 years really trying to pull that history back together, and that's not always easy.
General Electric, they still have power plants on the river, and as a byproduct, they created these things called PCBs.
How do we get the information to people that can make decisions about we're going to clean this place up?
I think it's really important that we're doing this.
And you see, look, having these kids work, they're not in the streets.
We wouldn't exist without water.
Our planet suffering. We have to care about water.
What is the power of people to make a change?
You know already.
So welcome to the third of the IER Presents series, BioArt Talks at CBIS.
But the idea of this artwork was that we could then get genetic samples from people, and then we could look at the DNA and then quantify the potential matches, and then invite people to parties where they could kind of meet each other and see if they had already HLA genes that were different enough to match with each other.
Are you ready? Cha-cha-cha cubano.
Notice, I am the sugar, honey, iced tea. Fake because this fructose, you high C. I'ma be a high priest. You can be a high piece. Keep fighting yourself if you want to. I'ma keep it humble. He call me his bumble. Stay buzzing up my feet, calling me his queen bee. I'm like, chill, homie. I'm just trying to preach this the gospel. He like, boy, I got you. I know you a queen. I'm just trying to tune my chakras like.
It's really become a huge part of my life. A lot of my friends work around me, and a lot of the creative work that I've done has come through the Sanctuary for Independent Media. Try to make a difference in terms of visioning a world the way we'd like to see it. We've had great films and filmmakers, artists from all over the world, all kinds of political activists and public intellectuals. It's a pretty amazing environment that we've created. Most recently, Salif Keita performed, a person who I've wanted to see here in Troy for decades. Now more than ever, we really need support from the people who are closest to us to help keep this thing going. So if you'd like to see the Sanctuary for Independent Media flourish, you'd like to see us continuing doing the kind of work that we're doing, I hope you'll consider becoming a Sanctuary sustainer. It's really important, and we need your help.